Hello, Mr. Meade.
How you doing, buddy? You all
How are
right?
you doing? I'm very good. You appear to be out on site today.
I am. I'm at Park House in Slough, where I've been all day doing handovers for customers that are moving in, completed today, and doing a potential second reservation today. So yeah, it's been a busy day all round.
That's awesome stuff. A couple of completions, did you say you were doing today? Handover for completions.
Yeah. So one completed on Wednesday, but they're moving in today, so they did the handover today, and the other one completed today as well. So two handovers today, and they're both penthouses. So nice big apartments.
Awesome, love that. So we wanted to have a conversation. Me and you had a chat, I guess similar to this, probably about a year or so ago now, I think, didn't we? As things were kind of changing in the world, and obviously what we were doing was very different. And we wanted to talk directly to developers and just probably lend a little bit of an option for them in what different might look like if they were looking for marketing, if they were looking for conversations with estate agents, and just how the world has unfolded. So it's Friday afternoon, it's Halloween this weekend. There's a lot going on, and I thought it would be a great time to just have a conversation with you about how the year has unfolded so far and what you expect it to finish like, really.
How's it been? The hair's different. The hair's dramatically. I watched the original video we did, which was back in, I think it was April, May of last year. And I think I had a quiff. And I think since then I've had a quiff. I've had long locks back down to here. I've gone back short. So the hair's changed an awful lot. But massive year. Much better than not than I imagined, but better than I could have expected in terms of what we've done, how we've done it, the results, how my company and how my philosophy has been received by a lot of developers, without having to do too much, to be fair. So there's a lot happened this year, and there's a lot happening next year as well, which is good.
No, I think I can only echo that from an outside perspective, watching in. What a crazy year it's been. I don't know if can you move your camera slightly?
Yeah, I'm just thinking. I've got the thing there, so I've got the.
Just glaring in a lip. There we go. So I guess you've dealt with a couple of different sites, and what's been quite good for you is you've dealt with kind of low-level apartments to high-spec apartments, large, small apartments. Then you dealt with some penthouses and some duplex, overlooking things like Windsor Castle, which has been really exciting to see those developments. And then you've dealt with the big family homes and kind of out-of-town type development. What surprised you the most about actually from a buyer's perspective for the developers? Is there any feedback you could give developers watching from a buyer's perspective in trends and things like that?
Family homes is since the start of the pandemic, and we'll go back to March, April, because that's when I first started doing what I was doing. The market's done a full circle. Beforehand you were looking at apartments, you were looking at quick, easy turnover, first-time buyers, investor properties. But since the pandemic, there's a whole turnaround. And now, if a developer came to me and said, I've got a site of 50 apartments, or on that same site, I could get 25, 30 family homes, it would be the family homes every day of the week. Because there's just a demand for people that want living from home, being able to live and work from home. And you've got the people living in the 3 and the 4 bedroom homes already, which before the pandemic were great and they served a purpose. But having the lockdown, having the kids schooling from home, working from home, a lot of industries now giving their employees the autonomy to work from home more than going into the office. There's a need now for more of an office space at the home rather than perched on the edge of the kitchen table or perched on the dining room table. So there's there's a need now for, I think, bigger house. I wouldn't say bigger, sort of family homes where you've got more idea on what you can do with the home.
Yeah, totally agree. We've got a hello there from Ellen. Hello, Ellen. If anyone's watching, they've got a question for us, fire it in. We'll answer it. If you've got a joke for us, it's Friday. We're happy for jokes. We're happy for facts. We know pretty much all year Andy has been supplying us with the facts on a Friday. So it'd be nice to see if anyone can top his Friday facts with some information ourselves. But on the family homes, it's been quite interesting because I've spoke to a lot of people in finance. I've spoke to a lot of property developers. We've done a podcast for landlords, and the same message seems to keep coming back, which is the family homes, family homes. I think there will always be a market for 1 and 2 bed flats, but it does feel like over the last decade, we've gone very heavy in development of 1 and 2 bed flats. And I do understand that because obviously the GDV and the quick turnaround on those is great. And we've had Help to Buy and things like that. But do you think when you actually look at it now, pound for pound, a family home might actually be a better option for a developer to consider for speed of transaction, for speed of getting money in the bank, for demand from buyers, and for the actual pound per square foot potentially that's available? I'm not sure.
I think pound for pound, your family homes are always going to be, I'd say, for the next 2-3 years. Obviously, I can't predict any further on from that because who knows what's going to happen. But if I was a developer now, I would be concentrating more on building family homes rather than apartments. But that's not to say the apartment market is dead, because it isn't. The apartment market is still there, and the apartment market will always serve a purpose for, wages are still going up. Interest rates are lower than they have been, although there's talk that the interest rates are going to go up. But if interest rates go up 1%, that's only 1.25%. So it's, I look at it like that. It's like, yes, it may go up and it may change, but if you're looking at it from a short-term investment, then don't buy a home, don't buy a property. If you're looking at it as a home that then is going to be an investment because you're going to be there 4, 5, 6 years, why would you not want to invest in property? And you get a lot of people that start giving negative comments about, when you start building family homes, there's no, you're only building for the rich and for the people that can afford the big homes. That's not true, because on a lot of the developments, you've got 3 and 4 bedroom detached homes. The people that are selling their homes, their 2 or 3 bedroom homes, to buy the 3 or 4 bedrooms homes, are then releasing up cheaper value properties. So the fact that they're moving up market because their wages are allowed them to do that, their equity release allows them to do that, you're releasing cheaper properties. So, but there's a demand for affordable housing, but don't feel that you can't build the bigger homes, and because that's what people want. That's what the demand is at the moment.
I think it's a great point on freeing up the properties that people are talking about, because I think if you're talking about the 2-bed terraces, the 3-bed terraces and semis and things like that, what we found for people that are maybe first-time sellers, second-time sellers, young kids, or just about to have family and get into the kind of family home, need a playroom potentially, looking at schools and looking at extra workspace, as you mentioned earlier on in the chat about working from home. If they're not coming to the market, then the properties that we're talking about for the first-time buyers and the people in rented don't become available. And I do think that developers on a scale type development, where we're talking, they've got a development for 500 homes, 1,000 homes, they have really looked at how many they can cram into those developments with blocks of flats and rows of townhouses and those options. When actually now, I think if you took a medium-sized site with the option to, or a small site to put maybe 6 townhouses in, 2 rows of 3, and they were £500,000 each, or you had the option of building 2 £1.5 million houses as a developer, I do think the developer would get their money faster on the 1.5 million pound houses than they would the townhouses in terms of final completion and offsite and ready to go. I don't know the build cost difference between 3 townhouses and a 1.5 million pound house. Obviously, there's less kitchens, less bathrooms, but the spec would be higher. But I do think that's the way we're looking over the next few years, is those type of properties are hugely in demand, especially in the home counties, to free up, even the 700, 800 grand houses, because there's not a lot, because of the amount of developments we've had after the £1 million, after the 800, 900 grand market. So I think it's definitely something for developers to think about, because I think they would get the money in the bank a lot quicker. And you got 2 transactions rather than 6 on that particular example.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think anywhere where you've got open space, and it's going to be a winner, because that's what people want, especially now when God forbid we don't go into a second lockdown or a third lockdown, or I've forgotten how many lockdowns we've had now, but
19th, it'll be the 19th, I think.
If we go into another lockdown, I think there's a lot of people that I think they're bored of it. They're bored of the lockdowns. And I understand it. I've got elderly parents, and I've got family and what have you. If they said to me, right, there's another lockdown, that's what you've got to do. Yes, it's a pain in the backside and it's a ball ache, but that's what you've got to do. But if you're in an area where you've got the open space, it's not so bad. If you're in the big towns where you haven't got the open spaces, or you can't go outside, then that's where the problem is. So that's where I think a developer would be very astute to be looking at building with open space around them, rather than trying to cram everything on. And I know that there's a need for there's the cash cow of trying to get as much out of development as possible, but sometimes volume isn't as strong as actual product.
And I think reputation with developers is becoming so powerful now. And I think when me and you started our careers in agency, reputations of developers was based on word of mouth more than anything else. Whereas now you only need one bad example of a development or a situation, and bang, it's in the We Love Whatever group, and the whole of Facebook know about it, and it gets to the local press, and they share the social media link, and then it fires around and everyone tags their friends in. You only need that one bad example for a developer to really get it in the neck from social media. But in the flip side of that, if you're kind of doing right by the area, and you're sat in Park House in Slough, and the developers there have built a phenomenal spec set of apartments, and they probably didn't have to go to the spec that they went to, but they have done, because they really value their reputation, is the way I feel. They really want their product to be something that they're proud of 10 years time after they've left the development. And I think that says a lot about developers. I think that's something really important at the moment for the community, when you go in there, to really make an example of something that's going to be highly regarded in the local communities, because that information gets shared so much quicker now than maybe what it did sort of 15, 20 years ago. I know that's something you're quite passionate of as well. I think, getting that brand recognition across for the developer.
Yeah. I think a lot of my marketing is yes, it's to get the buyers, but it's also brand awareness for the developer. And it's something I've said from day one, is that a lot of the marketing I do is geared towards the developer's brand awareness, so people know what's going on. There's a video on my website, which I posted on LinkedIn months ago, just 8 phases to digital marketing. Now, it's not reinventing the wheel. I haven't come up with a super duper idea that nobody's ever thought of, but it's just going back to the basics and making people realize that rather than the buyer finding the developer, you can take it out to the buyers. You can take the message out to the developers, out to the buyers. You can take out the message that there is a development going to be built on that old scrappy old site down the road, and this is what we're going to put onto it. We're going to start building in. First spade goes in the ground in 2 months' time. First completions are going to be 6 months after that. This is what we're going to do, and this is the open space. So you're building up awareness and public awareness and public knowledge of what's going to be built there, rather than just some big nasty developer going there with all these diggers and trucks and going to be digging everything up and putting concrete jungles in there, which invariably they're not doing. And we spoke about this when we first had the chat in March about the public's perception of new homes and developers and new builds and what have you. And I think at the time we were saying that only 10% of buyers ever looked at new build homes, back in 2010, I think it was. I don't know what the stats are now, but a lot of it is people have still got this perception that developers don't care about what they're building. They don't care about, once they've moved off the development, once they've finished, they put the last lock on the door and walked away. That's changed massively since even when I was in working with developers in the city and in the home counties. Their awareness of public perception now is so much more than it was. And as you say, it only takes one bad apple in the pot to put something on Facebook or wherever, and then it spreads like wildfire. It's like anything. They say if you've got an illness, you should never look on the internet for it, because you've got 500,000 people that are saying everything is bad about it, everything is going wrong. But the 2 or 3 people that are really having a good say about things are getting lost because the negative ones are there. The negative ninnies, I call them, the eels. You're not going to get everything right. And what a lot of people need to understand is that new build properties are handmade products. They're built by hand. And if everything that is built by hand. So there might be a few imperfections, and not every developer gets it right, but it's how that developer then deals with it after the issue comes up. And the guys at here where we are at Park House, the one in Wolverhampton we've sold, excellent customer service and customer care is second to none, and that just goes so far to the next development that they're working on, the next stage that they're going on. The guys here in Slough, they built a development in Acton, and when I first got involved with it back in May, I think it was last year, there were people coming to us, we saw your site in Acton, we want to have a look and see what you're building here. So it's the reputation they've built up on their first development. This is their second development, and they're moving forward on the next one. But what they've got here, and you can look at on my website, there's so many recommendations from people that, yes, I've done a great job with them buying here, but if they were buying something that wasn't great, they would know that once they've moved in, and the recommendations wouldn't be, regardless of what job I did, it would be, this isn't a great product we bought. But everybody bar none has been over the moon.
I've got Neil here that's
he has to get involved everywhere I go.
Do you want to share any light on that? Is that a private conversation you've had with Neil before?
Neil Jones is the owner of Blue Square Developments, a very reputable developer who is a really nice guy, and I would love to do some work with him. So the fact that he's listening means that I do mean a lot to him, and we do go back a long way. But no, joking aside, but no, we're sort of mates through the industry. But he does run a very good company. So Neil, if you've got anything you want to sell, mate, give me a shout. Let me know.
Good. No, I think it's important. I think as Neil's listening, it's important for the developer to get a little bit of their personality across, get their brand across, like you say. And we do live in a very different world to where we lived 18 months. So, and I think trends are really important. You mentioned about people working from home. We used to kind of see open plan being the theme downstairs. It really used to be a case, if you looked at a three bed detached or a small 4-bed detached, that it was all about that open plan space downstairs, and that would make a massive difference. Whereas actually now, you're looking at it, people want a playroom, they want that separate space for maybe a home office, and it's changed a little bit. I think the big kitchen will always be a big feature to everyone, but actually those extra little rooms, garden rooms, options to put little home offices in there. I think if developers are building and they're thinking, right, we could get a quick easy win here by putting a carport up, don't put a carport up. Put a proper garage in there. People want to put a gym or something like that in there these days. So I think that's really important, that we talk about the trends and how the world's changed. But the social media marketing is interesting, because when we spoke a year or so ago, I would say most estate agents that are marketing properties on behalf of developers, and if I'm honest, most developers as well, that market directly probably didn't grasp the art of the social media campaigns and how things can be retargeted, how campaigns can be set up, scheduled, and how you can utilize pixel data to kind of make sure you're home targeting the right types of people in the right geographic area. But that, I would say, has made a massive difference for you and your particular business, would you say, this year?
Massively. It's the park house is a demographic where Facebook is always going to be a key. And I picked up the development in Woolhampton, the last 12 units, which were all they're all 4-bedroom detached homes. And the agent that was on there before done a cracking job, but the developer just wanted to expand on what he was doing. So rather than just going with another agent doing the same thing, just in a different 100 yards down the road, 500 yards down the road, we had a chat with them about the Facebook marketing, the video marketing that we do, thankfully I won the business. We had 11 units to sell. Of those 11 units, they're all sold bar one, which hasn't been finished yet. So we've sort of scaled back the marketing on that a little bit. And me and you spoke about going out doing a video. We're not quite ready to do a video on that yet. But of those 11 that have sold, 7 sold directly through the Facebook campaign, which is 64%-ish, I think, sold directly through Facebook.
I just feel for any developers out there, that are watching now or later on, that's something where there's not many people in the industry, in the section of industry that you're working in with Meade New Homes, that are able to do that and do it properly. People can say, oh, we're going to put 500 quid into social media, but typically they're just slapping a couple of graphics out there and a couple of PDFs from the developer, and they're putting a boost and an ad on it or something like that, or they're just posting it on their own Facebook page. And that is not what it's about. Facebook marketing and social media marketing is a science, and there's logic behind how a video has to be edited and also how the campaign is set up. It doesn't matter what your Facebook following is, it's about the campaign. And the video you made for that was a really good insight into the area. So people kind of could watch it as the buyers were watching that video that are in a localized area. I would imagine a lot of those buyers didn't come from the doorstep of the development. It was on the outskirts, which is obviously where the targeting was set up. But what you did in the first kind of 45, 50 seconds is you gave people an insight into the village and what was going on around, and you used drones. I believe you've got a drone, Andy. I'm not sure if anyone's aware.
You've heard that, have you? You've heard I'm a qualified drone pilot.
I have heard the rumour, Captain. Yes, I have heard the rumour. And you use the drone marketing and the video editing to create something that has brought in results. It's not just waffle, hot air. There's the evidence. It beat Rightmove. Your marketing beat Rightmove. So for everyone that thinks it's just get it on Rightmove, get it sold, it's a big buzzer on that.
Definitely, I think when I keep going back to what I wanted to do, and when me and you first sat down before we joined forces, I laid out what I wanted to do and how I wanted to be taking the developments to the buyers rather than the buyers finding the development. And Woolhampton, and I think we always said about that sometimes you need a little bit of luck, and we got that, and we weren't lucky getting it because you make your own luck, but it was a great site to have, great site to get, and it's been a great case study in terms of what we've done with the marketing now. And I spoke to the MD of the company yesterday because we were talking about the final one that we wanted to get, a bit of traction on, especially with the run up to Christmas and the busy Boxing Day festivity where the social media market goes mad on Boxing Day. So we want to get a bit of traction for that. So he's now in a situation where he knows what he's got to do to allow me to do what I need to do to get the unit actively out there fully. And we're not just going to stick a picture up. We're not just going to stick a picture on Rightmove or boost a post and whatever. It's going to be a proper walk around video of the unit, showing what it is. Yes, it's not finished, but the buyer is going to be able to see a finished or a product with what they want to move in, what they can move into. But then on top of that, they can look at the area from their living room. So Boxing Day, they might have had a few drinks, they don't want to go out. They can see the area, they can see the proximity to the train station, the river, the village centre. But they can also see the house as well.
They can feel it, can't they? They can feel the experience with video. Yeah.
Yeah, and
a couple of photos mean nothing, but the actual video is so powerful, because you get that feel and that experience of what's going on, which is massive, absolutely massive. One thing as well that I touch on just sort of as we potentially come to a close on the video is you, because I think for developers over the years, what I've found when I got to kind of director level of an estate agent, we'd obviously have developers brought on or sites brought on for the estate agents to deal with. Often what happens is they get farmed out to the office, the branch manager gets introduced, and then a couple of the negotiators obviously do the viewings, this, that, and the other. And a lot of the breakdown of communication happens at that point because it's gone from the land and new homes team into office. They don't quite get the full product and the full spec sheet because they're obviously busy under pressure. But I think one thing that's been the biggest benefit alongside the marketing is that developers are talking directly to you and the buyers are talking directly to you, because obviously you've got a fair bit of experience in the game and there is no Chinese whispers. It's just Andy with the buyer, Andy with the developer. And I think that's massive for the developer and for the buyer. I think that's made a massive, massive difference. And you can see that in your Facebook and Google reviews in reality. So I think that's a big thing. I've made you feel a little bit uncomfortable there because I've complimented you, I can tell. But
I'm not used to it from you, mate. I never get a compliment from you. I can see you sweating as well whilst you were saying it.
Well, it's a Chelsea Leeds thing. Yeah, I think it works. I think it really, really works. And I think that's where you've seen, you're not often in competition with other estate agents, but you have got, obviously, you want to win the business or find the reservation before the other agent. And that's where really, when you've gone up against anyone on all three sites this year, you've won in terms of the numbers. So I think that's a massive factor as well. And if there are developers watching now or later on, I would definitely pick up the phone, drop Andy an email, because you're going to get a different level of service, but you're going to get a different level of marketing, but you're not going to have the communication breakdown problems that you might have if you go to the so-called big agency in town, really. So, yeah, that year that you've had, 2021, has been really good, and who knows what next year brings. But I'm sure you're excited for it because I know I am. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how the year unfolds.
Yeah, definitely. I think the good thing going into next year is I've now forged links with quite a few land guys, and I know for all the developers that are listening that their currency is land, and I get that. But you also need to sell what you've built and what you've got to be able to buy the next parcel of land. But the next step for me is get more involved with land guys that are not tied into agents, not tied into anybody else, and then I can then start building with the developers what they're looking for, where they're looking for, what their key areas are. And we can say to developers, look, that isn't the best area to move to. The demographics of that area don't allow you to be building what you want to build. Yeah. So it's not just flogging them a piece of land; it's just being honest with the developer as well, saying, look, this is what you want to do. And I'll very, very. I know we're running out of time, but I'll be very quickly. I had a meeting with a developer in July of last year. This is quite a fairly well-known developer, and we sat around the table, and he'd sent me all these drawings for the plans that he'd done. And they were pants. They had no workspace living. They had no open space. There was no open space in the developments. And the MD said to me, he said, "What's your thoughts on it?" And I said it was rubbish. My exact quote. You know me. I don't. I'll say it as it is. Yeah. I said, I think it's rubbish. And the people around the table, there was the land director, the commercial director. You could see they were all uncomfortable about it. And the MD said to me, "So, well, why do you think that?" I said, "Because you haven't got this, you haven't got that, you haven't got the others. This is what people are going to be looking for. There's going to be a lot of working from home. You've got no space for working from home. You've got no outside space for exercise. You've got, it's just not right. It doesn't fit for where the market is now. We're not building 2 years ago where it would have fitted. We're now looking at building for this year. And I didn't get the business, but I knew I wasn't going to get the business from day one. It was just literally, it was more of a consultancy side of what I was going on. And the MD phoned me up and he said, and he called me Meade, which I thought was really bizarre. He said, Meade, just to let you know, he said, we've taken on board what you've said. We've changed half the units, but are not the other half. Now they've started selling them. Now, which units haven't sold?
Yeah, the other half. Yeah.
That's it. And I spoke to him yesterday and I said, rest my case. He said, I'm not going to, don't even go there. Mm. So it just goes to show you, I'm not, there are people that there's yes people in the industry and there's people that just say what they want to say just to get the business. I'm not interested in that.
Yeah.
Because I'm the one that's then got to put my name to the marketing of it and the selling of it. And it's understanding what the market is doing. And that's the key, is understanding what the market is doing and looking 6, 7, 8 months in the future where we're going to be.
You're looking at the developer's goals and you're looking at the developer's reputation as much of your own reputation, and you're not looking at numbers. You're looking at just doing right by everyone, basically. And I think that's a big part of how the industry could massively change, and hopefully you're a big impact in that happening. And yeah, I think if people are out there watching, give Andy a call, drop him a message, and he'll give you that honest feedback, really, which is really important to see. No heating where you are, Andy?
No, I've literally been on site all day, and only on these things you realise how badly you need to get your hair cut. So tomorrow morning I'll be down the barber's getting my hair trimmed again. Got a big Meade Homes puffer jacket on.
Yeah, love that. Well, look, enjoy Halloween. I don't know if you're going to fireworks. I've got fireworks tomorrow, so and then a bit of trick or treating on Sunday, I think, for me. So yeah, I'll be out and about.
But I thought you had your mask on already.
Don't be fooled by the grey hair. Yeah, love this conversation, and I think if anyone wants to get in contact with Andy, then obviously go for it. If you're watching on any of the avocado pages and you want to get in contact with Andy, then you can drop me a DM and I'll pass the info over. And sounds like where you are, those remaining flats are going to get sold very quickly, and it sounds to me like the last plot in Wolverhampton, there's a plan of action on that one as well. So I'm sure those developers are in safe hands, and everyone have a great weekend.
Thanks a lot, mate. Catch you soon.